Hello there. Hi.
Hi, Jonathan. How are you this afternoon?
I'm good. How about you?
I am doing well.
So,
Happy to be here.
I'm happy to be here too. And actually, since we are here, where is here? So,
Where are
people,
you,
I
Jonathan? That's
think
the
this is the
question.
first time that
I'm
people
where
are.
I always am, but where are you?
I think this is the first time that people are having a peek to part of the HRC, like this cute
I think
wolf.
that you are very correct about that. I don't think we've ever shown the HRC on our live before.
Or anywhere. So, welcome to the HRC, located in the health room, room 138 at the Reading High, door number 5. I'm here Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Um, from 9:30 to 3, and Fridays from 11:30 to 3. And we are
And some
here.
days till
It's
5:30
so
or
fun.
whatever it takes to get a live done.
Exactly. But before we continue, we want to make our usual acknowledgments and recognitions, and that is that Black Lives Matter today and always. And actually, today I was having a very interesting conversation with a young person about about that topic and the importance of it. So hopefully, in this month of Let's Talk Month, people will have many conversations about many different things, including the sexuality and how different stigmas and not talking about it affects also black, brown people of color. So yeah,
And maybe also how different populations are impacted differently because of intersectional um, identities
Mhm.
and the stigmas and the shames and the things that may be associated with all those different parts of who we are as human beings.
Exactly. But aside from that, who are these people that are talking to you? So, Nadine, do you want to start today? I started last week.
I can't even remember who started last week. So if you say that that's the case, then I will start. My name is Nadine. I am the community liaison with Berks Teens Matter, and my pronouns are they and their. And I have the great pleasure of working with this amazing person who's the coordinator of the HRC and the youth ambassadors. And you want to tell folks a little bit about you?
Yeah, like Nadine said, I'm the Health Resource Center and Youth Coordinator from for Berks Matters, and I use he, him, and ill pronouns. And although Nadine said that they have the privilege to announce me, I will take this opportunity to let's start from the basics. Welcoming everyone that is here to another episode of Askable Adults Live, the show where we talk all about sex ed, community, and fairness. Sometimes it's only Nadine and I who are here. Other times
Mhm.
we have guests. And guess what? Today is one of those
Today.
days. Um,
Yes.
Today we want to welcome to amazing is not enough to describe these two
True.
awesome human beings, awesome people, awesome young women, two of Berks Matters youth, virtual youth ambassadors, Brooke and Katie, I also know
Also known
as
as
Katie and
Katie
Brooke.
and Brooke.
Hi, Katie. Hi, Brooke. How are you?
Hi.
Hey, good afternoon. Yes.
Katie, Brooke, we know that you are both passionate about BTM's vision to ensure that all youth in Berks County have equitable access to comprehensive sexual health resources necessary to thrive. And we know that you already have started using your voice, uh, for the with the hope for more comprehensive education, sex education in schools. But
Yes. And don't underestimate their voices. Not
mhm,
for 1 minute.
yep. So, Katie, Brooke, I don't know who wants to start, but if you will have to describe yourselves in 3 words, what will you say? Go, Brooke.
Um, hmm. I would say I'm outgoing, stubborn. I'm very stubborn. And I like to think I'm smart.
Well, we like to know that you are.
Yeah, we think that you're smart. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And Katie, what about you?
That's a good question. Probably funny, smart, and caring.
Oh,
And I can attest to those
yeah.
qualities too.
Yes.
We've shared virtual space for a little bit, almost is it a year already?
Has it been that long already?
I don't know.
I think a year, either the end of this month or early next month.
God, can you
I
imagine?
think you might be right about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had the
Amazing.
privilege to meet Katie in person. Brooke, I don't
Brooke,
know what's up.
no, I met Brooke in person a long time ago.
When she was
Yes.
using diapers doesn't count.
She wasn't quite in diapers. She was old enough to drink coffee.
Well, we need to do something so we can all meet each other.
That would be a really cool thing. Hadn't thought about
So,
that.
Katie, Brooke, what makes you passionate about BTM's work, like in general?
I really love what you guys are doing in Berks County, so it's like nice to be a part of that. I think not enough people kind of pay attention to like sexual health with teens, so it's nice that you guys are. So yeah, I like having the opportunity to like help with that.
And we appreciate your help with that for sure. Because without voices like yours, our work is really not what it needs to be.
I would say probably the fact that you encourage sex education through the internet, because my school didn't provide it for me. So I had to learn from other ways.
Um, Based on that, I know that you both had different experiences with sex ed or the lack of. And I'm not gonna ask you like, hey, just where are you going to school? Because people don't need to know that. But how
True.
has been your experiences with sexual health education
In school,
in school?
not at home, right? In school.
Katie?
Non-existent, basically. There was supposed to be a sex ed unit, but that got cut because COVID.
Mm.
Yeah, we had it. It was, I guess it was sex ed. It was people from like a church organization came in and talked to us about abstinence. So there was no like stuff about contraception or anything. So yeah.
So that's like a small piece of sex ed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we had a conversation about that. Didn't we talk at some point about about abstinence? In not saying, oh, we shouldn't be talking about abstinence, but it's also saying, like just Brooke said, yes, but also this other stuff. Like, why can't we be talking about
Yeah.
other stuff too?
Yeah.
Um,
And there's like also, I just always have to say when we talk about things like that, that ideally sex ed from a comprehensive perspective is not just about sexual behaviors, but it's about sexual health all the way around. So it's about like knowing your body and knowing your body parts and what they do and what they don't, and knowing things about consent and boundaries and all that. We won't go into that in detail today, but yes, abstinence is an important piece of that, but it's a piece of that.
In part of sexually comprehensive education is talking about topics that affect either a group of people or a lot of people. So our topic for today is period poverty. um, I have a feeling that many of our viewers may not be familiar with this term. It is a relatively new term. During on October 19 in 2019 was the first nation period day where people around the country came together to raise awareness about period poverty. That doesn't mean that it was born that day, but it was when it started to get more maybe more of a push or
More publicity, more widely
publicity.
heard
Yeah.
about.
Um,
But since that was like BC,
before COVID.
yes, and now here we are. I think many people who may have heard about that, it may have gotten lost in the shuffle of the last 18 months or so, 24 months, I guess.
Yeah. So, because both of you are, both wise beyond your ears, could you explain what the term period poverty means?
A lack of access to hygiene products when you're on your period, and because it's like really expensive.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Katie, do you want to add something or?
Yeah, it's just basically the inequality of accessing period products.
Cool.
So then that can force people to use things that might not be the most sanitary to use when they're menstruating.
Yeah.
I do remember that Brooke was very shocked when we mentioned a couple of the things that people use. In many places around the world, people have used rags, paper towels, toilet paper, even newspaper, or other harmful things to deal with their menstruation. Because the reality, and this is something that I had to learn very quickly, it might be easier to get condoms than to get menstrual products. And one of them we just can't control, when it happens and how it happens and who it happens. But the other one it's a behavior, so we actually have to decide to go through with it. I'm talking about the condoms. So why one is completely accessible and free of charge, and the other one, we have to pay for it.
Do you have, I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, both of you, both Katie and Brooke, and even Jonathan too. But any thoughts about why it is that menstrual products have to be paid for, condoms can be gotten for free, menstrual products, like as you were talking about, let's talk about sexual health and having to use newspaper or rags or things like that for your menstrual cycle is certainly not a healthy thing for people to have to do. So why in the world would condoms be free and menstrual products not?
I don't want to offend the companies, but I feel like since people, the companies know that people are just going to buy them no matter how expensive, because they're kind of like a necessity, that no matter how high they price them, that they're going to be bought anyways. So they see the opportunity to make more money.
Okay. And that's, we live in a capitalist culture and people are out there to make money. So I think that makes a point.
I would probably say because our society is still a little sexist, it makes periods a taboo topic. So they want to not encourage women to talk about it more, and they want to kind of like punish women for having something that they might need, that they really do need.
That's an interesting perspective, the idea that they're kind of counting on the fact that there's enough taboo associated with having your period that people aren't going to speak out about it. They didn't see the 21st century coming.
They didn't see y'all coming.
That's right.
And I think both of your perspectives go hand in hand, because there are grants in place for places to acquire and distribute condoms, but someone has to pay for that. So why do we pay? And not that it's a bad thing, but why do we pay for condoms? Of course, we're trying to reduce STIs and different things, but when we're talking about something so necessary for literally half of the population, why are we not providing that in the same spaces and with the same accessibility as with this other stuff? And we can say it doesn't even have to be condoms. There's many other things that we can um, mention, but the fact is that it's still a little bit of it's still expensive, because it's not saying oh, I only pay $3 for this a box of, I don't know, 4 tampons or 6 pads, but how many times do you have to buy those products and those boxes, etc. And even the reusable ones, menstrual cup, a good menstrual cup could go from 25 to more, and I don't want to put a top on it, but I've seen them like almost $50, etc. So it's still a hit, and not everyone feels comfortable enough using a menstrual cup, for example. So yeah, that's definitely something. Um, we know that you have been doing a little bit of research in your communities, as well as you in different cycles. Uh, what have you both learned about period poverty in these couple of months that we've been talking about it?
Katie?
My school has surprisingly given out period products for free, but you can only get them in the girls' bathroom. And for like the first couple of weeks of school, they weren't even in stock.
Yeah,
So do they just have them like laying out like in a basket or something like that in the girls' bathrooms, or?
No, it's in a dispenser.
But you don't have to put money in?
No, you just turn the knob and you can get it for free. It's really great.
Nice.
awesome.
It wasn't that way when I went to school back in the dark ages. You had to put money.
I mean, the fact that they were available, at least, because now that I think about it, I don't. Not that when I was growing up, the girls will tell me what was happening in their bathrooms. But to my knowledge, I don't think there were any accessible. So, Brooke, what would you say that is been your experience?
As far as I know, my school has a dispenser, but from what I've heard, it's empty most of the time, and you have to put money in. So, yeah. The nurse's office has menstrual products, but like a lot of people just aren't comfortable going to the nurse because like Katie said earlier, there's kind of a taboo around periods, so that could be like embarrassing.
Yeah.
Especially if there's more people around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes me think, like, just imagine if we were doing good sex ed in our community and it was something that was talked about as part of health class without shame and without stigma, and boys and girls were both educated about it as just like a normal part of life. Maybe it wouldn't be so, sort of like, I don't want to go to the nurse and have to say this out loud and ask for this and that kind of thing.
And something that happens for at least in the Reading School District, is that they used to have the dispensers, but they had to take it out. They had to take it out. But it didn't. They didn't put it in again. They put them back. So now it's basically almost like goodwill from teachers, and it's only female identified teachers, which also I think I know that it can be, for some folks it might be more comfortable to go to a female identified teacher, to talk about, hey, I need a menstrual product. But at the same time, I think that if we don't have more male identified teachers doing so, and of course not making it weird, it's just like, oh yeah, I have some there, you just take whatever you need and that's it, and we're gonna replenish it. I think that also goes out of the way to actually make it normal, and taking out the stigma and the shame that is placed on it. Because I do believe that many of the stigma, many of the shame comes also from male identified individuals who like, oh, well, we can't talk about that, like that's it's like, it's normal, that's normal, that's just something that happens. So the more we talk about it, the more comfortable we get with the idea that some people menstruate, is a couple of times, during certain months. Then the more we're gonna move as a society, and hopefully we will. I've been meaning to say this word, destigmatize.
Destigmatize.
Yes, thank you,
Very
Rush.
good. Very good. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm listening to you talk and just imagining, like, I'm sitting in a class, and granted, I would felt much more comfortable going to a female identified teacher than a male. But if I'm sitting in class and I'm aware that I need to go to the bathroom and I need to change, say, a pad, but I don't want to go ask the teacher because it is a male, or I know that the teacher can't help me out because it's a male. So how much am I going to be able to pay attention to whatever the teacher is trying to teach me if I'm sitting there with that on my mind, that I have to do that? And I can't just like get out of my classroom and walk down the hall and knock on the door of some random female teacher to get that. It really can inhibit the learning process.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you know anyone in your community or even your school that has experienced period poverty that you know of?
I know a few people. Mostly rumors though. There's a lot of like shame around it at my school. They're like, oh, that girl like uses toilet paper because she can't afford pads and tampons or whatever.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like a shameful thing and more of a gossipy thing than confirmed. But yeah, there's definitely like people I know of.
Oh, I'm sad to hear that. I mean, I don't know what was I expecting, but
Yeah.
asking that question, but it makes me sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad. I'm not surprised to hear that. And then I think of even like the girls that maybe don't go to school at all because they have their period and they don't have anything to use. And even if they're riding the school bus, like maybe they can get pads when they get to school, but until they get to school, that could be a problem. So then they miss days of school and things like that. And again, unfortunately, I'm going to keep harping on this. If we were doing age appropriate sex ed and it was comprehensive and we learned even before we got to junior high school or middle school about menstruation and things like that, and it was just normalized, then there wouldn't be, because that kind of what you're talking about, Brooke, I think that comes from people being uncomfortable with the topic because we don't talk about it. And if we don't talk about it, then it's kind of, it tells you that it's taboo.
Yeah.
And how about you, Katie? Have you had a similar experience as Brooke? That have you heard rumors, or do you know of a person?
I have not heard any.
Do you think it's mostly because, well, your school, the fact that your school provides the menstrual products for free? Do you think that might be why you are not hearing, or maybe because it's not spoken, or just like because no?
I don't know. Might just not be spoken.
Yeah, because research, or at least research across the country, seems to show that close to 85% of students, female identified students with uteruses in the US have either missed class time or have a friend or someone who has missed class time because they haven't had access to period products. That's a huge percentage.
So, and with that, Nadine, what do you think? Who do you think are what do you think are some of the impacts of period poverty, aside of the 84% of the people?
Well, I think, well, if 84% of the people like know somebody who's missed or they themselves have missed, that's like significant when you're talking about not being in class when you're supposed to be in class, not being there to get the information that you need in order to be able to have sort of an educational experience that puts all things in place that you need in order to be successful. And then it ends up, I'm sure that some of those people, as Brooke was describing, some of those people who other people are making fun of them, it's not like they're totally clueless that people are making fun of them. And so then that gets internalized, making people feel not so okay and not on par with their peers. There's a cascading effect of those kinds of things. And then we impact people's ability to be successful in society. And have the healthy kind of relationships that they would like to have with themselves and others.
So, have you ever had this, a conversation with your peers about period poverty, or which also it's called menstrual equity? So, have you ever had this conversation with someone, with a peer, with a friend, someone from school?
I have not.
Me either. Nobody really talks about period inequity.
Yeah.
Do you think you would ever initiate that kind of conversation with somebody? What do you think that would be like?
I definitely would.
I thought so.
How do you think it will be like that response from the, well, take into consideration that we don't necessarily start conversation like, so have you heard about this? It's like, whoa, hold up. But do you think people will react positively to this topic that I don't know, I feel it might not seem as a big deal because of people that don't experience menstruation. It's like, that's not a big deal. But for people that do experience menstruation, that sometimes you're like, oh my god, I don't have a pad, I don't have a tampon, I don't have a linen. How do you think it will be their reaction?
I know a few people would probably care and want to help, but I think the majority of my peers and even my friends I think they would kind of like shrug it off, like it's not affecting me, so why should I care? Because I'm very passionate about sexual health, and like a lot of my friends don't really get that and don't really feel the same way. But there's definitely a few people who would care, I think.
That's awesome.
It starts with a few.
Yeah. It would also probably be a few for me, but if I'm talking to like my peers, I think some of them would not understand, and some might think it's a little weird I'm talking about that.
Yeah. And I would imagine, like Jonathan says, I mean, we don't, I'm not like hanging out with a group of people at a party and saying all of a sudden, hey, so what do y'all think about period poverty? But like,
well, in my case, I might do just
yes,
like,
I know
yeah,
you might.
cars,
You might.
also menstruation.
Yes. But I am thinking like if you were having like a health class or something like that, that might be a place to like ask a question or raise the issue or something like that. Potentially, it would be kind of risky because I imagine that there would be a lot of kids that would kind of, a lot of your peers that might kind of snicker, and others that might get embarrassed, and others that might just get really quiet.
Yeah.
So, what do you think is important for our community, meaning Berks County, because you live in different places of Berks County. What do we need to understand about period poverty, or what do you think we should understand about period poverty, or you know what, or just periods at all?
Katie?
Period poverty really does affect a lot of people. In Berks County, you might know someone who is suffering from period poverty.
Yeah. It's not a choice. Like, it's not a choice to get your period. You're kind of just like, if you're born like that, you're born like that. And yeah. One thing I didn't know, but like I think is important for a lot of people to know, is that like I was looking the other day and tampons are expensive. Like I've never noticed that before. I didn't even know how expensive they were, because like not being able to afford menstrual products isn't something I've ever had to like experience. But like when I found out, I was shocked. They're like $12 per box, and for people who may be like living paycheck to paycheck, like can't afford that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
for some people, part of their paycheck will have to go for menstrual products. Again, even if you can afford it, that's something that some people have to buy regardless, and some people don't. So
It's like you get a bonus in your pay, Jonathan.
yeah, but if we start talking about uh, oh my God, it's not payment equality, it's gender equality in the job, the payment, earning, money. Oh my God, help me!
I'm not sure what term you're looking for. Any of that will work.
Yeah,
Brooke, do you know
so
what he's trying to say?
that people, women don't earn as much as men, usually in the workplace. So can you imagine not only not earning as much as your peer, just because they are, they're a man, but also that part of that paycheck, aside of the regular things that you have to buy, it also have to go to buy menstrual products. That's something that other person doesn't have to.
So it's like a double whammy. I forgot about that other part. Now you have me thinking about that. I'm going to get a little steamed up.
Well, that's what I live for. So, as we understand it, Pennsylvania is not one of the states that has a tax on period products, right?
So we get a point for that.
Yeah.
We get a point.
Pennsylvania.
But it's important to note that there are states that have a specific tax placed upon menstrual products, because after all the things that we've talked today, And even Brooke mentioning that tampons can be really expensive. On top of that, there are states that they have a tax on menstrual products. Because of course, why not? Okay, I'm gonna stop with my.
When Jonathan takes his glasses off, you know he's getting a little steamed at the injustice.
Yeah. So, what do you have any closing thoughts, Brooke, Katie? Anything else that you think we miss, or anything that you want to share?
Or anything you want to tell us we should go do to
Mm-hmm.
get this issue out there? Or we should do together to get this issue out there, in addition to what we're doing here today?
I don't know, I guess talk to your people around you about it, your peers, your friends. You know, get it out there so that like more people know what it is and more people can help.
Good message.
Continue to talk about it even if people seem a little bit uncomfortable.
I
Agreed.
like that.
Or rally them up like Katie did during the summer, and she took us out.
Oh, when she took you all outside. I can't
So
say Berks.
rally them up,
Petition.
and
Yes.
yeah. So
Read another.
hey,
And there is, I don't know where it's at the moment. We had talked about this, but before we close out, there have been efforts in the Pennsylvania legislature and in the Pennsylvania Senate to address issues surrounding period products. Last time we talked to Senator Schwenk about that, I was only half listening because I was having a conversation with somebody else at the health days. But I know that there are folks in Harrisburg who do want to address this issue, because we didn't even get into like people in prisons and things like that, and people who are homeless, etc.
Yeah.
Big deal.
If folks want to learn a little bit more, you can always check out menstrual equity in the ACLU, or I don't know if people call it like that. I just call it ACLU because I'm like that. And you can check menstrual equity. There's good information. There's also a youth-led organization called period.org.
And they have some pretty exciting stuff there. I think we're going to be checking into that and seeing what we can use from there.
Yeah. So hopefully people will check it out, maybe become a chapter or a community person that can reach out to them and provide, free of charge menstrual products, because we need more people giving them out for free until at some point we don't have to charge for quality menstrual products.
Yes.
So thank you, Brooke, Katie, for being here, for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And thank you, Katie and Brooke, for being here and sharing your thoughts with us. We really appreciate you both.
You're awesome. Keep being awesome.
Yes.
And sign petitions and rally them up.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye,
We'll see each
bye-bye,
other next
bye-bye.
week.